Hello and welcome to Bacán, an English language podcast about my Spanish language adventure in Chile. First off, before we get started, I just want to apologize for sound quality if you hear dogs barking in the background. Well, first of all, welcome to my life, but also I'm just recording in my little lime green room on the second floor of the house that I'm living at, so I don't have the fancy equipment that I had when I was back in Memphis in the basement of the Rhodes Library. So with that said, let's get started. Last episode, I began by talking about how the next few months would kind of be a break from the high-stress culture at Rhodes, and while my classes may be a bit easier because they're pretty much designed for a rotation of constantly traveling international students, it has not been the semester off that I had imagined. So far, it's been 5 fantastic weeks of living with Irene and Siegfried in Viña del Mar, a residential city just 30 minutes by metro from my university in Valpo. It's actually really close, and I love my commute. What you're listening to right now is my commute every morning. Each metro car acts as a little stage for local talent. There are family bands, John Legend playing saxophone cover artists, thespians, chocolate bar vendors. There's no point in listening to your own music when taking public transportation here. You know, it was kind of hard starting out. I was emotional before I even left the States. No, really, I cried in the Miami airport because I realized my Spanish was just not going to cut it. It was impossible to prepare, and now that I'm on the other side of it, it's impossible to really even explain. I wanted to talk to one of my friends, Jenna, who I worked with in Denver, Colorado last summer. So she normally attends St. Louis University, but she is in Amsterdam at Webster University for a few months. And like me, she also has a ton of other friends who are spending this semester studying abroad in all sorts of amazing places. Australia, Tunisia, Madrid, Paris. But that's probably where the similarities end for us in our study abroad experiences.
Everyone compares their abroad experiences. I mean, there's been moments. I definitely compared me studying abroad alone versus people studying abroad with people they know, you know?
Oh yeah, that must be so
Yeah, that was a big
nice.
one at first. I was like, okay, I don't know anyone. Yeah, there's a real lesson in simplicity, you know? Because starting out, I didn't have a lot of friends either. The main person who I hung out with was my friend Sarah. It is what it is. Because the more you have this, desire, I think, to just, want more and to just, make more out of what there is, I think the more you'll find yourself comparing, and then the more you'll just be frustrated with yourself.
I think what I appreciate the most about Jenna is how intentional she is about not isolating herself and keeping in touch with people back home.
I'd say over 100, honestly.
You've sent over 100 postcards this semester.
Yep.
Since January the 4th? Is that right?
Yep.
Wow, that is so great.
Yeah, it's been a really good therapeutic thing. Yeah, when you were in St. Louis, you didn't meet my godmother, Joanne, but she's this super whimsical, sunflower of a human. Told me, she asked me if I'd send her postcards, and I was like, yeah, sure. She was kind of talking about, how postcards are just, a really fun way, to, keep in contact with people, and, super thoughtful. She told me, she's like, yeah, you don't even have to, say anything on the postcard. You can just say, from Jenna. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it wasn't, an obligation or anything. It was just, kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, when it
So
when it feels like an obligation, then you don't want to do it. But
yeah, exactly. And like I really love doing it. Like I love like that type of connection. I hope the postcard finds you
yeah.
in the Chilean mail.
Oh my God, it's so mystical here.
Yeah, how's it been?
Oh, it's been okay. Those feelings of isolation and inferiority can be really overwhelming, which is one reason why I think her efforts to send postcards is so special, even if they don't make it to their final destination. For me, it's basic self care stuff like meditations and naps and sunset watching that have been my saving grace through the silliest, stupidest of moments. Like when I stepped into my shower for the first time and realized H stands for helado, not hot, and that I had no soap, no shampoo, nada, or like when I tried to buy ceviche off the freaking street when it was at least 90 degrees out and Irene looked at me like I was crazy. There is so much to be thankful for here. There's a lot of little victories that I'm clinging to, like my aforementioned lime green room, winning the affection of our little dachshund Fix, Chilean Netflix with enough material from the US to keep me busy for the rest of the semester, lots and lots of bread and tomatoes and tea on the porch, and a plastic San Antonio Spurs cup sitting casually on the windowsill of our breakfast room. And of course, this guy playing his windpipe instrument on the metro. Alright, so that's home. Now for the Neruda travel magic. First of all, when I told my host parents that I was going to study Neruda, Siegfried, my host dad, loaned me his copy of Antipoemas by Nicanor Parra, one of Neruda's most famous literary adversaries and kind of friend. About the differences between them, Chilean literary critic Camilo Marx wrote, "In contrast to Neruda, who spoke about the people, Nicanor speaks like the people." An article that I found online describes Para as energy and life, where Neruda is solemnity and eternity, which I think is academic speak for a struggle between the two in which Pablo kind of overshadowed Nicanor as an omnipresent international figure, oriented like a mentor-mentee relationship that neither really wanted or consented to. Pablo was born in 1904 and died in 1973, and Paro was born in 1914 and died in January, exactly 1 month before I arrived in Chile. So that was my host father's response, Para. My host mother, Irene's response to the project was to give me a kind but firm lecture on the political instability in the southern region and suggest something safer. But I went to Chillán anyway. Chillán is technically still in the center of Chile, but it takes 6 hours south by bus to get there from my city. What makes Chillán special is its proximity to a natural reserve, hot springs, a national park, and an active volcano range along the Argentine-Chilean border. The Nevados de Chillán are made up of several volcanoes and famously erupted uninterrupted between 1906 and 1945. That means these volcanoes were spewing lava during the entirety of World War I, the interwar period, and World War II. They also began erupting again the year Pablo Neruda died and didn't stop for another 13 years. Here's the poem from Neruda's sonnets about Chillán and its volcanoes, as read by my wonderful friends Felix and Zach.
Ni el color de las dunas terribles en Iquique, ni el estuario del río dulce de Guatemala cambiaron tu perfil conquistado en el trigo, tu estilo de uva grande, tu boca de guitarra.
O my heart, my own, since before all silence, from the uplands ruled by tangling vines, to the desolate platinum prairies, in every pure landscape the earth has imitated you. But not even the shy mineral hands of the hills, nor the snows of Tibet, nor the stones of Poland, nothing has altered your form, your traveling grain of wheat. As if clay or wheat
Cirea o
field,
trigo.
guitars or clusters of Chillán fruit realize their places. In you, imposing the will of the savage moon, they defend their belonging in you.
Guitarras o racimos de Chillán defendieran en ti su territorio, imponiendo el mandato de la luna silvestre.
Okay, good stuff, right? But what was Chillán actually like? First of all, on a personal note, a huge part of my struggle over the past month has been my health. I had been feeling very ill since the first week of classes, and my symptoms were really hard to pin down. Like, one day I was fine, and then the next I had a fever, and then the day after that I lost my voice. So it was very up and down, and it really impacted my energy level and attitude. But I scheduled my trip to Chillán anyways and started taking a Z-Pack because I was sick of sitting around and feeling sick, and I wanted to make this episode happen more than ever. So it's easy to see why Pablo Neruda enjoyed the city so much. It's a completely different feeling than Valparaiso, which can be rough around the edges and kind of loud. Chillán feels small, almost suburban, very safe. 1 hour north is the city of Parral, where Pablo was born, but Matilde was born in Chillán itself. And it just gets better because guess who else was born in Chillán just 5 years after her? Violeta Parra, the aforementioned Nicanor's sister and the mother of Latin American folk music. My host parents love her. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio dos luces. What you just heard was Gracias a la Vida, her most famous song. It has been covered by everyone from Joan Baez to Juanes to Michael Bublé. My friend Maddie and I spent our first day exploring two big Chillán claim to fame can't miss spots, the market and the cathedral. First, the market was everything you could possibly hope it would be. I kept thinking of the 26th sonnet that we just heard, where Pablo wrote, as if clay or wheat field, guitars or clusters of Chillán fruit realize their places in you. These are the materials of the Chillán market. He wasn't kidding. Wooden guitars, wooden mortar and pestles, giant bags of seed and grain, especially chia, which, by the way, is so cheap here, stalls selling roasted chicken and potato salad for lunch, puppies running around, abuelitas reaching out to sell you mote in their cozy corner, yummy aceitunas and piñas, and big, delicious grapes. And speaking of grapes, Maddie was able to snag an entire bottle of wine from the supermarket for about 900 Chilean pesos, roughly $1.60 USD. So yeah, that's what she did Friday night. Now, the cathedral was like being in the belly of a whale. It sits in the center of the city, across from a park, almost innocuously. Maddie and I nearly gave up before spying it around a corner. The spiritual simplicity of the place was truly overwhelming. The church lacked an office or a lobby space. The glass doors opened directly to the sanctuary, windowless and bright, designed to withstand the earthquakes that plague this country. It was dedicated to the victims of a terremoto in 1939. The space is iconic, one of the 15 Chilean classics. Without a doubt, Pablo had passed through these walls, despite his atheism. In this conservative country, it's difficult to escape the specter of Catholicism. Saturday, I was feeling a whole lot better and a whole lot more hopeful. We wanted to hike, so we decided to brave the rain, and we took a 2-hour bus to Las Trancas. Admittedly, the rain kind of ruined us. We tried our best, but all we took from the day was a new friend in the tour guide, who luckily had an extra jacket and a space heater, and we did get a peek at a waterfall. I also overpaid for some horrible snow pants, which did nothing to keep myself from getting soaked head to toe. But it's hard to be sour about such an experience, especially after reading the following poem from Pablo, his Ode to the Waterfall. You'll find that Pablo has an ode to everything. Without a plan, one day, I rose early and gave you a waterfall. Among everything in existence on earth, stones, buildings, carnations, among everything sailing through the air, clouds, birds, among everything here on the planet, minerals, the dead, there is nothing that slips away so smoothly. Nothing booms with song like a waterfall. Open your eyes. There it roars like a white lioness, shines like a phosphorescent flower, dreams with each of your dreams. It is the song writing my song, rewarding me with the silver shop in motion. But it also works, turning the wheel of a mill. It not only embodies a wounded chrysanthemum, but it also brings wheat to its reality. It is mother of the bread you celebrate each day. What I have given you will never be a burden, because what I gave you was always yours. The flower or the wood, the word or walls, food of fleeting love resting or burning in our hands. But all I gave you, all I give you, all I extend to you will contain this secret voice of water. One day will tell you in its own tongue the extent of our silence. It will roll our kisses to earth, to flower. It will continue to grind wheat, night, silence, words, stories, and song. On our way back home Sunday, I was feeling worse than I had ever felt in my life, and I would end the night in the hospital for a respiratory infection. I spent the 6-hour bus ride home before that, though, with my eyes shut, my body still, my fever high. But I swear some psychic force impelled me to open my eyes and look out the far right window just a couple minutes after we left the terminal. And when I saw the snow-capped Andes, I knew that I was going to be okay. Thanks for listening to episode 2. Stick around to listen to Zach and Felix's reactions to this poem that I asked them to read. I am overwhelmed with gratefulness and totally on fire to complete this project, so please continue to check out my blogs in between episodes. I wrote a little bit about my experience seeing La Mujer Fantástica in a Chilean theater and my visit to Pablo's house in Valparaiso. There is so much to learn and share from here, so yeah, see you soon.
I really liked Guitar Mouth. I read through it a couple of times before you came over, but I haven't figured out quite what that means. Just the imagery of what part of a guitar they could be imitating or mimicking with their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. Because you're a music major.
Soon to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
What instruments do you play?
A little bit of piano. I got a guitar for Christmas, so I need to learn that. And I sing a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Still early days. I haven't... There are things that I know I can improve in the music I've made already before I want to put anything out, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Guitar Mouth.
Guitar Mouth.
That's you. How did I know?
Yeah.
I want you to loosen up, baby.
No, I'm all loosey goosey. We're all good.
Pretend like I'm a stranger and tell me what you were doing this past semester.
I was studying abroad in Argentina. I was without a program. So what does that mean? It means that pretty much it's just way harder going about things. But it was cheaper for me. But the main thing was just how I wasn't going with a group or anything like that. I wasn't going with anybody. And so when I got there, being in a city that's with millions and millions of people, my first time leaving the country like that for a huge long period of time by myself was very, very changing and also impactful. I went down to get my fluency. I picked up Argentine Spanish, obviously. They call it Castellano. So instead of saying Está lloviendo. It's raining. I would say, está lloviendo.
This might be kind of a weird question, but your brain has changed the way that you think about language and words, right?
Absolutely.
So, how has the transition been?
Coming back?
Yeah.
I go back and forth a lot writing between Spanish and English in things that aren't my Spanish courses, but you don't notice it. You don't really wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm fluent. It's a very, very gradual process usually that kind of goes up, a little bit down, up, a little bit down, but continuously following a pattern or a line. I'm not fully allowing myself to go acclimate back to what I always did. I really realized that as much as I talked about going, as much as I talked about and read about where I was going to live and who I would be surrounded by, I had no idea. You never will fully understand as you go into it. It's just impossible. But that's also the exciting part of it as well. It's a very exciting part because you don't know. You're not going to comprehend the gravity of that experience until you just immerse and just jump in.
And I understand what you're saying about not wanting to talk about it anymore because no matter what words you use,
no matter what I say,
you're never going to be able to
I will never live that again.
Express it to anyone. No. Saying it doesn't bring it back.
It does not. It does not help at all.
In fact, I would almost imagine that like the retelling of it would not even like help your memory that great either.
It would
like
it.
Yeah, it might minimize it, might like confuse it, make it smaller.
Because you're recalling something instead of living
it.
So naturally, whether you're writing a book on an experience, whether you're telling a story to anybody, no matter what it's about, you're retelling it. You're retelling it. You're not telling it as you were there in the moment, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing necessarily negative about that. It depends on how you go about it. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Undeniably. But that being said, just look around being down there as well. Just look around, take a couple of deep breaths, and realize where you are. It's the best feeling. It's gone. I can't have it again. I can travel. I can maybe do something like that to a very similar extent, but I'll never meet the same people, the same order, the same place, the same air, sun, weather. It's all different.
But you can embody how you've changed, and that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do at this point, is take what I learned there and what I experienced and not necessarily keep it in a jar, but just use it, utilize that, remember it, just think about it. Don't just let it become a memory in the sense of just a fleeting experience and, wow, that was a great time, wasn't it? Well, I hope that I took something away more than just that. That I also let it impact my life, but over everything, impact somebody else's. And I can think on also, I wonder how they're doing. I wonder how their day's going. I wonder how they're feeling now, or I wonder what they're doing after we had this conversation, after we had that conversation. That's definitely one of my favorite parts. But if you really just think about how you were before and think about, was I really this mad at a stoplight? Or was I...
Yeah.
Like, what's the point in allowing that to happen?
Right, because right now, in Argentina, what time is it? And what are they doing?
4:50 in the middle of rush hour, probably. Hey, I could not be happier to be out of that, currently speaking.
But you know what I'm saying?